At the old chemical plant SEVER-9, people said the smell of ammonia seeped not only into your clothes, but into your fate if you stayed too long. In the dim neutralization shop, under yellow lamps and constant noise, Lita met Igor. She was a young environmental officer, fresh from academia, promised real practice, emissions, wastewater, numbers you can go to jail for. He was a veteran of 15 years, a deputy shift supervisor who knew every pipe and every bad vibration. They met when she stuck a sampling probe into the wrong line. "Miss, you're about to shut the whole place down," he said behind her. "If one girl with a probe can do that, your problems are bigger than me," she replied. He laughed with his eyes above the respirator. "Igor. Night shift B. Let me show you where we actually take samples." There nothing serious grew between plans, reports, and night shifts. At meetings they spoke formally. In corridors they pretended not to notice each other. Privacy on the plant was rare and always suspicious. One day in the archive room, a narrow space of dust and folders, he passed her a file over her shoulder. She turned, and they ended up chest to chest. For a second they were too close, his skin under the ammonia smell, her perfume that usually vanished in ventilation. "Sorry," she said. "High-risk archive area," he answered quietly. The door banged open, a mechanic yelled for Igor, and the moment broke. The real line was crossed at night. Lita delayed leaving after work because of a new audit demand on wastewater. When she finally headed to the gate, the sky over the units glowed orange, the flare burned steadily. Her phone vibrated. "You still here?" "Igor." "Yes, going home." "Don't. Something's wrong at the tailing ponds. Numbers are jumping. Can you come?" At the settling tanks, the air was thick and wrong. He handed her a tablet. On the graph, the line was shooting up. Her quick test showed 4 times the legal limit at the outlet. Before she could swear properly, a dull whoosh sounded behind the concrete wall. Orange light flashed, then a burst of flame. Sirens started screaming across the plant. "Fire in the amine unit!" Igor shouted. "Let's go! Are you insane? You run from a burning unit, not toward it. There are people inside." She followed. At the amine section, smoke poured from a second-floor window, water hissed from the plant fire truck. Someone yelled that the operator and a maintenance man were still inside, trying to shut a valve. Lita grabbed a guard. "Move everyone upwind, now. If that stuff blows toward town, you'll be explaining it." Igor was already putting on an extra breathing set. "What are you doing?" she shouted. "Let the fire crew go. They still need the ladder in place." "We have a couple of minutes, maybe." He looked at her like it might be the last time, then ran up the metal stairway through sparks. On plants like this, there are people you don't try too hard to stop. Later, reports would dryly state, thanks to prompt actions, serious consequences were avoided. They would not mention Igor stumbling on the stairs, dragging a half-blind operator out of the smoke, or the dead maintenance man found by the unopened valve. When Igor finally came down, he tore off his mask, breathing hard. "Still alive?" Lita asked. "Seems so. The operator's in the ambulance." Sirens howled around them. She stepped forward and hugged him, feeling his body shaking with leftover adrenaline under the suit. "We'll call it psychological support after an incident," he murmured. After the fire, inspections and commissions took over the factory, safety protocols were read aloud, and logs were kept meticulously. Lita found herself thinking more and more often that her personal life was now inseparable from the factory floors and the safety lights above them. They began having dinner together in the cafeteria, choosing the same table far too obviously by chance. Rumors began to spread. The thing that worried Lita most, she learned from him directly: Igor had a wife across the tracks and 2 children. During a quiet night shift, he said in his cramped foreman's office, "You know this is wrong. Me, you, all of it. I never planned to change anything. Plant, home, garden, the sea every few years. Then you showed up." "I wasn't planning to blow up your life," she answered. I thought I could control it. Like pressure in a column. But we're not a column, she said. And we don't have a safety valve. I'm scared, he admitted. Not of another fire. Of telling my kids their father isn't the hero they think he is. Heroes aren't the ones who never mess up, Lita said. They're the ones who live with what they've done. They kissed right where they usually signed their shift reports, between the workplace safety display and the Employee of the Month photos. There were no scenes at the gate, no loud exposés. 6 months later, Igor simply transferred to another factory in a neighboring town, formally for a promotion. On his last day, he signed the inspection sheet, looked up, and for a second met Lita's gaze through the glass of her office. They had already said goodbye beforehand, in the archives, with 2 short phrases, "Take care." "You too." A week later, Lita was offered a job at a new facility, in that very same neighboring town. That evening, looking at the map, she realized this and sat by the window for a long time. Above the SEVER-9 workshops, the flare still burned, like a stubborn lighthouse, calling no one anywhere, but reminding everyone that it was there. She wrote, "I accept. When do I start?" And sent it. Not for a man's sake, nor out of a desire to escape. It was simply that the chemistry of her life and the chemistry of production had merged, dangerous, smelling strange, sometimes burning the skin, but if you followed the rules, you could not only survive but also create something. Production continued.